Welcome back to Letters from Little Saigon, where every story whispers across oceans of memory, connecting hearts between Vietnam and America. Tonight, we open a letter that was written but never sent. A letter filled with words unsaid and love that still lingers. Sometimes, the hardest thing to carry isn't the distance, it's the silence between you and the person you love most. This is the letter I never sent home. It was a quiet winter night in my small apartment in Orange County. Rain tapped softly against the window, like someone gently knocking on my thoughts. I sat alone at my desk, the same one I bought secondhand when I first arrived in America. In front of me was a blank sheet of paper. I hadn't written to my mother in months. Not because I forgot, but because I didn't know what to say. How could I tell her that the American dream felt so far away? How could I admit that sometimes the loneliness here was heavier than the suitcases I carried off the plane? So that night, I started a letter. "Mom, I'm doing fine." Those were the first words I wrote. A small lie, but a gentle one, the kind you tell when love and worry live side by side. The letter grew longer as the hours passed. I told her about my job at the small restaurant where I washed dishes, about the kind owner who reminded me of my father, and the smell of pho that made me homesick every morning. I described the small joys, the neighbor's cat that waited by my door, the old radio that played songs from the past, the way sunlight filled my kitchen on days I thought I couldn't go on. But between those words, hidden in the spaces she would never see, were the things I couldn't say, that I missed her voice calling me for dinner, that I still saw her face in every steaming bowl of soup, that I sometimes wished I could trade everything here just to sit beside her again, under the tamarind tree behind our old house. By the time I finished, the letter was 4 pages long. I folded it carefully, but I didn't seal it. I didn't have the courage. Because how do you send a letter that feels like a confession of your heart's weakness? Days passed, then weeks. The letter stayed on my desk, untouched but always near. Every morning before work, I would look at it, a quiet reminder of everything I hadn't said. One day, I placed it inside an envelope. Instead of writing her address, I wrote a single word: home. Years later, when I finally returned to Vietnam, I found that same letter inside my old suitcase. The paper had yellowed, but the ink was still clear. My mother was gone by then. She never read it, at least not with her eyes. But somehow, I believe she already knew every word. Maybe she heard it in the pauses